So hello, welcome back to my channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe and also support my small business at latricelimited.com. So I've been looking at the news, seeing what has been going on, and in Illinois, effective January 1st 2023, is this new thing called the Purge Law. Okay, I actually have two videos I'm gonna be showing throughout this video here. The first one I'm going to actually play right now, then I'm gonna give my thoughts and opinions on it as we go.
Listen to me. It cannot be understated how significant of a role the media plays in quashing progressive movements and keeping more Black people in jail. And it's frustrating because every time we say the criminal system isn't broken, it's working as intended, these are the outlets and institutions that respond, no, we still need to have faith in the system. We need reform, we need reform, we need reform. But then every time we actually get substantive progressive reform, here they go with campaigns like this filled with lies. And please trust that it's not a coincidence that they're going to places like the Shade Room and Baller Alert with Black audiences to peddle these lies, because what they want is for Black people to internalize propaganda and lies so that we don't support progressive initiatives that are designed to keep us out of jail. So I'm going to dispel these myths about the Purge Law, because there is no Purge Law. All there is a concerted effort by media, right-wing Republicans, and neoliberals to keep Black people in jail. You've probably heard about Rikers, because Rikers is infamous. But less people realize that Rikers is a pre-trial detention center, meaning the people incarcerated at Rikers have not been convicted of a crime. Last year, 16 people died in Rikers. This year, 13 people died in Rikers, and Rikers has already been declared a human rights crisis. So what if I told you that the crisis happening at Cook County Jail was worse? Cook County Jail is the pre-trial detention center in Chicago, Illinois, meaning the people incarcerated at Cook County Jail have not been convicted of a crime. They simply just don't have the money for bail. And that's an important point people need to understand about bail. Bail is not about public safety. Bail is about whether or not you can afford your freedom, period. I am a public defender who represents people that are incarcerated at Rikers, where people are killed, people are beaten, people are sexually assaulted, people spend years of their life. And I'm telling you that I was floored to find out that there are people sitting in Cook County Jail waiting on a trial for 4 years, 8 years, even 11 years. So let me tell you about what the Chicago Public Safety Act would do. The first lie being circulated is that this bail reform will prevent police from being able to make arrests. False. Not only can police arrest whoever they want, like they've always been able to, all the bail reform law does is encourage them not to make completely low-level arrests that they could write tickets for. And you wanna know what else? You wanna know what else? A law enforcement agency proposed that language. What the Public Safety Act would take low-level crimes, low-level misdemeanors, non-violent crimes, and instead of those being bail eligible, where you sit in jail because you don't have the money, you fight your case from the outside, because now judges cannot set bail and keep you incarcerated for something they probably otherwise would not have been able to. What this Public Safety Act would do is it would get rid of the cash bail system. It doesn't mean that nobody goes to jail pre-trial. It means that instead of whether or not you're free or you're in jail being determined based on how much money you have, instead, prosecutors would have 3 different options that they could keep you detained should they so choose. Prosecutors will have an option to present evidence to the judge showing that you are a threat to public safety, or that you have engaged in some kind of willful flight from prosecution, or if you're simply charged with most felonies, and they can have you detained pre-trial. The reality is that the vast majority of people in our criminal system are living well beneath the poverty line. They're represented by public defenders because they cannot afford representation, which is a fact. The court, the same court that will then place high bail on them, they know they can't afford it. So it's a tactic by which we put poor people in jail for things we probably couldn't prove at a trial. They'll probably never have a trial. It's a way to coerce them into plea deals. But it is not about public safety, because at the end of the day, if you have the money, you can buy your freedom. So what this act does is it gets rid of that component, and it actually makes it about dangerousness. It makes it about whether or not the prosecutor has some evidence that he can present to justify detaining you pre-trial, rather than just using and exercising your own wealth or lack thereof against you. Listen to me. Do not fall for the propaganda. They're calling it the Purge Law because they want you to believe that a law designed at affording you more rights, at preventing you from being railroaded, at preventing more deaths from mounting inside a Cook County Jail is not there to help you. It's a lie. This has nothing to do with public safety. Listen, we allegedly live in a civil society with a presumption of innocence where people should not die awaiting their trial for crimes they have not been convicted of. That shouldn't be what's happening, but that is what's happening each and every day inside this country at pretrial detention centers all around this country. But Cook County Jail and the pretrial detention centers in Chicago and in Illinois are some of the worst. This law is meant to help us. Do not mind the...
Okay, so as you guys have seen, there was a black woman who was actually talking about this. She said that she was a public defender and she does it for Rikers primarily. That's what it appears to be. So here's my thing about what she's saying. So I agree with some of it and I disagree with some of it as well. Okay, probably disagree a little less than I agree. All right. But I get where she's coming from. Okay, because the whole thing is this, and this is something I've been saying for a while as well. Crimes are legal as long as you can afford it. Okay, we've seen a lot of different people who will go and commit particular crimes and then they'll get off on it because they can afford it, or they'll get bail for it because they can afford it. Recently, there was this, as you know, it's all up in the news or whatnot, about Cardi B, for example. She threw 2 bottles and paid someone like $5,000 to beat somebody up or whatever the case may be, right? Which is a crime. And I believe she only got like 10 days of probation or community service. You know what I mean? So as long as you got the money for it, you're good in a lot of instances. Okay. You always see those little rich people on those little rich preppy kids. They'll drive their car into some crazy stuff, DUIs, all that. They get out the next day. So yes, I get this, and with the whole bail system, yes, it's all just for profit. It's all just so that the state could collect money. I 100% agree with that. As long as you can pay your bail, you can get out. You ain't got no money to pay your bail, you're going to stay in. So I 100% agree with what she's saying. Also, it allows you to have your rights given back to you. Okay. So it's like, just because I commit a crime doesn't mean that I should 100% be, ostracized from everything. All right. If I have a wrongful arrest, whatever the case may be, I noticed that she was talking about nonviolent crimes and some other kind of crimes in there as well. Cool. I completely agree with that. With that being said, there is a reason why particular bails and bonds have been as high as they have been. Okay. So if you're out here murdering somebody, out here robbing somebody, yes, I think that your stuff should be at a high enough rate because you only pay 10% of whatever the number is. Okay. So yes, I do believe that your stuff should be at a high enough rate so that, yeah, you can't get out even if it's pre-trial. Okay. I know this differs from what a lot of people are saying, but these are my opinions. These are my thoughts. Okay. I just feel like, yeah, you should be able to stay there. Okay. Because if you committed certain crimes, I just don't think that it's fair to other people. You took my rights away from me. You violated me. Why should you then be treated as an equal? So that's something that I don't get. I also have, with that being said, I also have another video that I'm going to play right now.
As of January 1st, 2023, the following things will go into effect, and people need to be aware of this. It abolishes cash bail for almost every offense. This includes, but isn't limited to, kidnapping, armed robbery, second-degree murder, drug-induced homicide, aggravated DUI, threatening a public official, and aggravated fleeing and eluding. Offenders released on electronic monitoring have to be in violation for 48 hours before law enforcement can act. They could almost drive to Alaska before we can even look for them. It denies victims their constitutional rights. And keep this in mind, businesses and homeowners. Officers will no longer be able to remove trespassers from your residence or your businesses. Someone could decide to live in your shed, and all we can do is give them a ticket. You have to decide what level of force is required to remove them and whether or not it's legal. This is a massive threat to the residents of Orland Park, Cook.
Okay, so as you guys have seen, there was the mayor, and he was over here saying that, there was quite a few things that were in there. Okay, One, it was crimes, okay? Offenses such as aggravated battery, aggravated DUI, aggravated fleeing, arson, burglary, drug-induced homicides, kidnapping, intimidation, robbery. A lot of these. I'm not just making these up. Here's the chart, okay? So it's saying if you commit these crimes, because these are the non-detainable offenses. So yes, I'm assuming. So if you have first degree murder or rape or something like that, that goes into the detainable. So there's no negotiation at all. We're going to give you your bond. You know, this is what you got to pay, or you're going to stay locked up. Okay. But with these, it's like, in going with what she said, because she said, well, it's not just saying that you're going to be locked up. It's saying, you know, the judge has to go through 1 step, 2 step, 3 steps. And then if they find that you're not a danger to the public, etc., then you get to come out. Now, with him, he's obviously saying you are a danger to the public. Okay. This is where I split, because aggravated battery, which this is all included within this, you just beat somebody up. I don't care who it was. Whether it was you hit someone just with your fist, or you got a metal pipe, that's battery. That's a danger to the public. I don't care, you know, because now you could say, oh, maybe it's self-defense. It's self-defense. Fine. But what if it ain't? Then I'm just letting, you know, whoever that just beat somebody up just because, to just be out. I don't think that's fair. Same with aggravated DUI. You're drinking while driving, and whatever else you have associated with the aggravation. Why should you now be out? This relates to what happened with the black nurse. I believe they said she was from Houston and she was in California. That's where she was living, and she was doing, you know, her nursing job over there. And she ran drunk, ran into, you know, some cars, passed, you know, sped through a red light, ran into some cars. People died. But I was watching and I'm like, wow, that's crazy. And this happened, you know, she was drunk driving, tickets and all that 5 times prior. She should never have been out on the road. She should have been locked up. Why not? You know, those people would have been alive had she had been locked up for that aggravated DUI. You killed people, you know, so that's where I disagree. You know, you got aggravated fleeing. Why are you fleeing? Where are you going? Come on, you're not just going to Walmart, going to the grocery store, going to Burlington Coat Factory. Where are you going? And why is it aggravated? What crime are you committing? Arson. I look at this and I think about what happened up in there was a Walmart. It was a teen girl. Apparently she was just mad at the world or whatever. And she went and burned down a significant amount of Walmart. Now, what if there were people there? What if there was a kid that got lost or something and then someone else died? Is this just like well, you know, we should just, you know, she doesn't need to make bail or anything. She could just go out until no, we know that she did it. You know, burglary. You're breaking into people's homes, into their cars, whatever the case may be. Why should you just be out? Drug-induced homicide that we have. You went and killed somebody. You're under the, you know, maybe fentanyl, because fentanyl's all the rage, that and coke. Why should you just be out with everybody? You know, intimidation. You're threatening whoever you're threatening. Kidnapping. Come on. A robbery. Where there was a case that just recently happened a couple days ago, actually a few days ago. And it was a chef. He was in Chicago. 2 Ray Rays and Pookies come up, rob him, then kill him. What if that one guy got robbery and the other guy got a second degree murder, which is the next point? Should they just be not allowed? Should they just not have to pay bail? Nothing at all. The judge says, well, you're not a harm to the public. And this is also where I kind of get into this, because in there, she said you got to go through the 3-step process, see if you're, you know, eligible, you know, to get out, see if you are a danger to the public. So what if they say, the judge says, you are not a danger to the public? What happens? You then get out. Now, you may say, well, Alex, that's ridiculous, because any of these crimes, they would easily say, not necessarily, because they wouldn't put it on here as non-detainable crimes. So I was thinking about it, and I'm like, where is a place that I know that this happens? Oh yeah, Houston, the new Brazil. So I have an article here. I'm going to read it, get my thoughts and opinions on it as we go. It says bonds as low as $10 given to inmates, including some charged with violent crimes. Harris County in Texas. This is Houston. Prosecutors and victims advocates are raising concerns over who is getting low bonds and getting out of jail even before the county starts releasing hundreds of inmates. Okay. It says ABC 13 found $300, $500, and $10 bonds issued over the last 2 days to defendants, some with violent histories. Okay. Kelvin Hawthorne, 18 years old. And like I've been saying for a while, they're starting younger and younger and younger each time. He's accused of punching and choking his girlfriend on Monday. Normally, that kind of crime would get $1,000 bond, which is still low. Okay. I mean, you're choking and punching somebody. Come on. That's assault. I mean, come on. It's a personal recognizance bond, which means release from jail on the promise to return. On Tuesday, a judge granted him a $100 bond. He paid $10. So his bond, so you only pay 10% of whatever your bond is. Okay. He got on no bail because he had $10. He could just pull out his pocket. Here you go. And now I got out and I beat her up. I punched her and I choked her. So I could go ahead and do it again. Because he went through the 3-step process or whatever to see if you are a danger to the public. You're not a danger to the public. You go out and do it again. You could beat her up. Probably kill her next time, right? That's what this is saying. This is what the public, I'm not just making this up. This is what a lot of people are saying about Houston. Okay. It says you have another one. It says Craig Jones, 55, is accused of hitting and choking his wife. He had prior violent convictions. The state requested a $10,000 bond on Tuesday. They made it lower, $300. Timothy Singleton, 21, prior convictions, charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. He also was accused of pulling out a gun on his aunt's neighbor. Granted $500 bonds, meaning he only got to pay $50. Normally, they said it would have been, instead of $500, $20,000. Okay, so what would that have been? Would that have been your $2,000? Okay. So yeah, you have a lot of people who are very much upset with this because this is just not how things are supposed to be going. You know, if you, and I get it, you know, it's disproportionately affecting other people, but all these people are black. Okay. This has nothing to do with race in terms of that, but because yes, are people who are black or Hispanic, whatever, less wealthy, I guess you can say in this sense, because their incomes are lower. Yes. So fine, you could say that, but just on its face, not necessarily. Okay. There are poor white people too, but you know, I digress. But here's the thing. And I also want to go back into the video that I showed you about the mayor that was talking in Chicago about this. Okay. And he was mentioning all those crimes. A couple other things that a lot of people, and the sister in the video, didn't even mention. Trespassers. They said we can only give them a ticket. We cannot force them to get off your property. We cannot arrest them. We cannot detain them. We cannot do anything else besides just give them a ticket. Here's a ticket. You know, I mean, if you want to get off of here, you can. But I mean, if not, you could just set up shop. We can't do anything about it. We won't be able to do anything about it. Squatters, y'all, that's on y'all. So whatever line of defense y'all take, whether that is criminal, completely convincing, whatever the case may be, we have no control over that. Okay. This is what he's saying. And that is a huge problem for you to, as he said, be a business owner. You got someone, there's a whole thing with, you got people who are sleeping in McDonald's, their little rooms and whatnot. You can't legally tell them to get out then, right? That's messed up. He also said with the ankle monitor situation, it's saying that cops are not allowed to, they cannot pursue the criminal up until, they have to wait up until 48 hours. So if 48 hours has not passed, then they cannot pursue, even if your ankle monitor is ding, 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 ding. I have to wait 2 days before I can do anything, which is absolutely insane. Like I was saying, it's just, I like to look at both sides of the situation of the story that we have, okay? On one side, it's like, yes, this is now allowing people who are convicted, or not even convicted yet, but are accused of certain particular crimes, okay, to be free and let out into the world. Meanwhile, you got the other side where it's like, nah, you committed the crime, you need to do some time, you know, whether this is pre-trial or not, you know. And for me, I'm just looking at it like, this is something I don't get. You decided to commit a crime. I didn't decide to rob somebody. I didn't decide to, you know, assault somebody. I didn't decide to burn someone's house down. I didn't decide. You chose to do all of this. I wasn't the one that went out there and killed that chef. I wasn't the one that shot random bullets and killed someone. I wasn't the one that broke into somebody's house. Why should you have the same rights, or continue to have the same as me? I didn't break the law. You did. I didn't beat somebody up. You did, you know. So this actually brings me to this tweet that I saw, and it says, I wasn't arguing. Adults don't argue. They discuss. And wokeism is a thing. They were talking about wokeism, and, you know, they explained what it was in a previous tweet. So you're bypassing logic in favor of constitutional rights when the very people you claim are being deprived of said rights are violating the rights of others. You live in a republic, not a utopia. And this is something that I 100% agree with. Why is it that you can violate my rights, my sister's rights, my brother's rights, my aunt's rights, my niece's rights? You could do that, and then you're supposed to still be given the same kind of leniency as I would? I don't get that, you know. And, you know, people made the argument of, yes, well, you have a lot of people who are in prison, you have a lot of people who are in jail who are innocent, da 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 da. And then some other people are saying, well, the judge has to, I mean, you have to have evidence. Evidence has to be there, and da da. Well, we've seen, as the article that I read from Houston, people getting out on $10 and some change from their pockets, $50, $100. People are getting out on this stuff. So, and what was it for? Aggravated battery, choking, domestic violence. They look at the woman. She's beat up. She's bruised up. She has black eyes. But that's okay. And then they can still get out. So people are saying, oh, well, there has to be evidence. Yeah, I can tell you, you stole my purse and you have it in your hand. If the judge goes through step 1, 2, 3 and says you are not a danger to public safety, as they have been doing in Houston and other places, but mostly Houston, for a very long time now, they'll just be let out on the street. And we see how bad Houston is. We see how bad Chicago is. You know, so for me wanting to be safe, me wanting my family to be safe, and anyone that I care about to be safe, nah, you committed that crime. It's not like you forged a signature on something. You know what I mean? Which that's still a crime in of itself, yes. But it's not like you did something like that. You know what I mean? Maybe you laundered some money over here. Okay. You know, but those have associated crimes depending on what you did. Yeah, maybe you don't need bail. And I'm for that for throughout the board. Okay. Maybe that's something you get a citation for, you go to court, you pay something, whatever the case may be. But when you are going out of your way to rob people, you know, you're stealing from them, you're beating them up, you're burning down their homes, whatever the case may be. Yeah, that kind of stuff needs to be stopped. And if you don't do the crime, you wouldn't have to do the time. You know, and people keep saying like, well, you know, people innocent. If I know you burnt down a building, you ain't innocent. Oh, but there's no real evidence and there's no real. No, dude. If I got you on burning down a building, you burnt down the building. Okay? We ain't got, you gonna be in here. Okay? And we ain't gonna give you no, you know, all you gotta pay is $10 to get out. I just feel like people really need to be up in there, yo. I mean, that's just how I feel, because I don't want some random criminal that's out on the streets doing all this kind of stuff. You know, I just don't think that it's fair. Yes, is the justice system a failure? Really? Yeah. I'm not gonna lie and say it's not. Yeah, it's terrible. But with that being said, this is doing nothing but making it worse. But those are my thoughts and opinions on it. I would love to hear yours down in the comments down below. And until then.